Hello everyone, I'm Makarovich and I'll be doing the preview Steel E. I'm thinking of doing the recap for Steel E every round, see how that goes if my schedule allows me to do so. Um, so yeah, I think this will be a fun division because there's a lot of people that we know about and that have been active in ICBBL recently, so that's gonna make things very interesting. There's it's a fairly diverse division, so I think that's gonna be fairly interesting to watch how it all pans out. Um, so yeah, without further ado, let's take a look at the different teams that are in there and what builds they went for and see what our thoughts are. So anime wannabes, coached by AD English. Um, it's
Does he
it's
have your duck in there?
hello there.
Hi,
Currently, I'm currently
this is D-Man, by the way.
yes, I guessed as much. So welcome, Demon. I'm starting with a small preview of Steel E. So currently we're taking a look at 80's team. Pro Elf team. Um, Nothing too exceptional about it. Two blitzers, two catches, and a thrower. Two rerolls and an Apo. Mm, yeah, I think it's fairly conventional. Don't see. I don't think.
Is your anime duck one of the players?
I wish it was, but oh well. Anime one of his. It would be nice if it was, but if it were, but no, 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 no. 80 is too late for that. Oh my.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, what are your thoughts on this team? Would you have gone for something different? Like, would you probably drop the Apo and take another catcher instead, or do you think that's okay? I think I would.
Yeah, with the catchers are so important and they're only armor 7 and they don't start with dodge.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
If this was a kind of ladder team, I would absolutely forsake the Apo and take three catches. But I agree with you that considering that this is a regular league and if the team dies on game one, then you're stuck with it for all the season. I think picking up the Apo is a good move. So there you go. Obviously, I think 80 should probably try to score on the blitzers as soon as possible to get them to blodge step and be really annoying.
mhm.
But that's up to him, really. I think
5 currency says that he takes leap on the catcher instead of dodge first,
who?
knowing AD.
Oh, well, Metro took his Pro Wolves to Gold Finals, and he had a ton of leap catchers. So there you go. I mean, it's not completely ridiculous, but yeah, he did not start with leap, though. I will say that. So that was AD. Let's see the Warden. Yep, only
Yeah, Nurgle.
only possible start for Noble in my opinion. Uh,
Yeah. I can see some people don't like the beast and just want a bench to start, but
nah, the Beast is okay. You don't have a lot of skills, so you gotta you gotta get as much power as you can get
no, you've
to.
got plenty of skills. You've got foul appearance, you've got disturbing presence, you've got regen, Nurgle's rot,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
all the skills.
I
It's just not any of the good skills.
think. Oh, Tentacles and Mighty Blur and Regen are good skills.
True.
But yeah, I think it's more about the strength, having an overwhelming strength since you're not very reliable. Uh,
Yeah, if you're a bash team and don't have block and only have 4 strength 4, I can see how that would be a bit of
yeah,
a difficult time.
because if you don't take a beast, then you're essentially orcs, except you don't have block and you're AV8 for most of the team, and that's just horrible.
And your files are 10k less expensive, yay? Kind of.
Kind of, but your rerolls are,
And you're slower.
yeah,
Well,
and your
no,
rerolls are
you're
more
not actually.
expensive. Yes, you are slower because you don't start with full pesticles.
4 blitzers, true, yeah.
So yeah, this is no, I think this is the only possible starting roster for Nurgle. Eventually, if the Beast of Nurgle keeps rolling normals, you just sack it and maybe never replace it because at some point you'll start being too bloaty with four pesticles and four Nurgle warriors. So,
I'm gonna have to drop out, by the way.
oh yeah,
So
sure,
I'll
no
be
worries.
seeing you. And I'll watch the recap.
See ya.
Have fun.
So yeah, there goes the analysis for the Warden's team. Ideally, he of course wants to score with Meshuggah and get him to level up as soon as possible. Give him block first skill. Unless he rolls doubles, in which case I could see a dodge one. Noble Warriors, block God, block Mighty Blow. Yeah, those are the moves. So, Demons team macroeconomics. That's my own. That's the tribute team that Demon has made for me. So see how they do. Starting roster of two catches, a thrower, and two blitzes. Two rerolls and Apo. It's High Elves are one of those teams where I would actually start with three rerolls and drop one catcher and one thrower because with two catchers to begin with is too much AV7 in my opinion. So you're probably gonna end up exposing them at some point, which means that they're likely to die. Also, early on, the passing game isn't quite that good. You're probably going to want to feed some touchdowns to your blitzers as soon as possible, then to your catcher. But yeah, since you're lacking skills that make you reliable, I think that it's important to start with a third reroll. A third reroll to be able to pull out a little bit more elf bullshit. Um, so yeah, I would drop the catcher and the thrower, but that's just me. It's up to him after all. Um, Obviously, any player that picks up an MVP will get a vanity pass, and hopefully that's a level up. So that's the kind of thing that helps you develop a high elf team very quickly. But yeah, we'll see how they do. They're in a division with a fair amount of agility teams, so I think that can be interesting. Crowley or Crowley, one of theirs. Uh, all right. So, yeah, not much to comment on this team. He's obviously going to start with two war dances because, well, who wouldn't? Um, then I'm assuming he's going to wait till the last second to decide what his final team setup will be like. So he's probably going to wait until the schedule is completely out so that he can see who he's facing on the first rounds and make his team accordingly. Um, as far as I understand it, um, if he's gonna if he feels like he can afford it, I'm assuming he's probably just gonna go for the no reroll build and take a tree, take catches, and probably just take the rerolls as they keep playing games. But we'll see how this goes, because yeah, there's nothing is guaranteed here. Wasted Trojan. Uh, so he's gone for a dwarf team with literally all the positionals apart from the Death Ruler. Um, I don't really like this. To begin with, Troll Slayers they're AV8, they're expensive, I think you well yeah. I'm not a fan of Slayers. You could have two more Longbeards. That would save you a lot of money. 40k, you'd have 40k in the bank. Drop the Apothecary and get an extra reroll, so you start with three rerolls and you don't have to pay them double double the price. And with 40k in the bank, you can then buy the Apo as soon as possible. I would keep these four pieces, absolutely essential in any dwarf team, in my opinion. Slayers, I'm not a big fan. I really don't like their AV8. Um, they're mobile, don't get me wrong, so they have that good for it, but their AV8, um, so people are going to be aiming for them as much as possible. And if you're facing against a bashier team, those are the targets. Those are absolutely the ones they're going to be targeting the most because they don't really want to be blitzing at the long bids. Those are too resilient. Um, and yeah, so that's that. But then again, he's free to take them. They make for excellent killers once they're developed. Once they get Mighty Blow, Piling On, Tackle, they become really, really good. But I don't know. I don't really feel good about them. In particularly in the early game when you don't have guard, because Frenzy is going to put them in a lot of trouble, uh, particularly without guard. So they're not going to be good blitzing options for most of the time, particularly not when you have actual blitzers. So yeah, there you go. I mean, it's still a dwarf team, so they're still very solid, even if it's not the build that I would go for. Slaanesh give us claws. Unfortunately, Dark Hills don't get claws, but we'll see how they do there. So pretty standard starting build. Three blitzers, a witch elf. Yep, nothing wrong with this. Two rerolls and apothecary. Yep, it all seems good to me. Um, I usually don't start with the Witch Elf and start with the Blitzer. I used to do that, but since they kept dying on me on their first game, and since they're so expensive, I started replacing them with Blitzers, and they would do pretty good. But yeah, the rest is yeah, the rest of the team. I think it's yeah, standard Dark Elf team. He can't go wrong with this. Well, he can, but that's Blood Bowl, you know. Chris's team, Plaxland Arcanidons. So, yeah, pretty standard Lizardman team here as well. Um, Croxigore, Sexorus, sorry. Force Kinks, two rerolls, no Apo. He's probably going to try to pick up the Apo in his first game. All he needs is 30k, so that should be pretty doable. Um, Yeah, the rest of the team seems yeah, the team seems pretty solid. There's nothing wrong. I don't see any problems here. Um, we'll have to see how they do, but yeah, that's a pretty solid team. Then as far as the last team is concerned, we rise and we fall. This is okay. This is something interesting. He chose to take two skeletons, three zombies, two ghouls, two whites, and two mummies. So my advice here would be to drop this skeleton or this one. I mean, I don't care, one of these, and get another ghoul. Because if you're gonna get another, because you have the money to afford it, and with three ghouls, you really gain a lot of mobility. Um, with two ghouls, it's a bit of an issue that if one gets taken out, then you've only got one ghoul left, and one ghoul can be a little bit tough when you're trying to pull out plays that require a little bit of agility, like a handoff play or something like that. The whites are movement six, and they don't have dodge, so you're probably not going to be able to rely on those ones if these guy gets removed, for instance. So I think three is better. They give you a lot more mobility. Also, early on, they're a lot better than they are after you've played a couple of games. So picking a ghoul later will be suboptimal in my opinion. They're not going to be as good if you take them later on because people will have by the point taken a lot of block and tackles, so they're not going to be quite as good. So you want to get to make use of the dodge early in the season. So that's why I would recommend three ghouls. I don't really like skeletons. I really don't like them. I know that they're movement 5 and people like to use them for fouling, but they're also AV7, and that makes a huge difference in my opinion. I know that they have thick skull, but it's not that good in my opinion because they're gonna be stunned most of the time anyway. Whereas zombies, the thing that really makes zombies insanely good is that they're really resilient. They start with AV8, so they're really frustrating to punch. So yeah, that's my advice. Other than that, I think he's done the right thing starting with three rerolls. Um, the team is very good, so even if he doesn't follow my advice, I think he will do just fine. Because Undead are of course a very strong team in the early game, which still is all about the early game. So there you go. So in terms of good matchups and who's gonna struggle during the season, I think Nurgle will probably struggle a little bit because that's the nature of Nurgle. Early Nurgle, they're gonna struggle against probably against Lizardmen and Wolves. They're gonna struggle. Probably as well against Undead. Against the Elf teams, I'd say that they'll struggle against Woodies if Woodies have the right skills, and that I don't foresee that Nurgle will have sure hands by the time they face Woodies. So Woodies could probably try to abuse that, and even though they have a lot of strength and they can try to get some removals, I think it might be a little bit tough for them to take up Woodies. Um, Hiles, it can be tricky for Hiles, particularly in the earlier parts of the season. Same goes for Dark Hills and Pro Hills. It can be a little bit challenging for them to face Nurgle if uh, they're low on rerolls. They start getting removed a little bit because they can't quite minimize blocks. So yeah, early in the season they can be a bit of a struggle. Once they get a couple skills though, that will be a lot harder for Nurgle because they're usually slower to develop. I don't foresee that they'll have a lot of skills by game three, like probably two, but it wouldn't be enough to make them a powerhouse against elves. Um, so yeah, there you go. Against wolves, it's probably gonna be a bit of an issue. Um, Particularly, it will be a particular issue if they do remove their slayers, because then, because then Nurgle are gonna be in a tough situation where they need to play against dwarves in a bash contest, and dwarves have block AV9 everywhere. They're even though they're slow, Nurgle are slow as well, so they're not even going to be able to make use of that. So, it can be a bit of a struggle against them. Um, I'm curious to see how the elf teams will play each other as well. There's a lot of there's a lot of elfing in here, so we'll see which elf team comes on top of the division. Uh, and then there's Lizardman. Lizardman will probably have a very tough time against Wood Elves because yeah, Wood Elves are the natural enemies. Wood Answers is so tough to deal with when your best ball carrier has strength 2 and doesn't have general access. Um, the other elf teams, mm, we'll have to see. I think if he makes use of his overwhelming strength, he can put the other elf teams into a bit of difficult positions, particularly because they have very, very fast ball carriers. So that's that makes their offense kind of really hard for the Elves, but they really will need to protect this kicks. They want to if they want to do well. Undead, I think Undead will probably struggle against Lizardmen a little bit. Uh, just because Lizardmen have a lot of strength, and if Chris plays his cards well, he can make it very difficult for the Undead team. Of course, the Ghouls are will probably have blodge early on, so that will be probably the only issue that um, Red Knight has to contend with, but we'll see. We'll see. Um, yeah, as far as undead are concerned, I think the only two matchups that can be a little bit of an issue are lizard men and dwarves, of course. Dwarves are very tough to deal with for everyone. Uh, then again, it depends on how Wasted Troyan plays them, but they're a very solid team, so they could be an issue. And yes, so with that being said, that was my preview of Steel E. We'll see how this goes, and we'll probably see each other next round. So once next round is over, we'll take a look at the matchups, how it went, and probably try to outline a couple of key actions. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and see you around.